Western Arnhem Land and Southern Arnhem Land. He was part of a movement of people who were leaving the mission at Owenpelly and heading back towards their country. He was always, one of the people who was there doing a lot of the hard work that was necessary to set up these outstations. And it was incredibly hard manual labour that mostly these old guys, and quite a lot of old women as well, were engaged in to get these places going.
Bardayal expressed a desire to go back to Angunjang, which is his honey country, because he hadn't been back there for many, many years. And it was just such a privilege to go back to country with Bardayal and hear him sing the songs, and he actually performed a number of the honey rituals at some of the important key sites. And that was a very influential trip for him, because it was then he was really confirmed in his ambition to go back and set an outstation up at Gubernawonyo. And it took about 7 years, but finally he managed to go back. And I think that was the great thing for Bardayal, that he could go back, live on his Namok clan country and die on his country, which is what he really wanted to do.
I think I was 10, the first time we ever went to the outstation. I just went through the bush with a GPS, and he got pretty upset. He was like, oh my gosh, my home. He talked for hours with the spirits, just letting him know that he's back and he's not going to go.
It showed me the place in a helicopter in the 90s. We were back there on the ground in year 2000, and in 2002 we came back to set up something permanent. And I mean, this was one of the awful ironies of his life, that he worked for so many people to set up outstations, which then got support with, housing and electricity and all these things. When it came time for him to settle on his part, the door to that sort of access to that government support had closed. But he wasn't the guy to give up. So we built tents and tarps and stuff like that, and over the next 10 years sort of gradually improved. By that stage we were engaged in building up the West Arnhem Land Fire Management Project, which has helped to underwrite a lot of the land management work that's happened in Western Arnhem Land.
What do you reckon if we burn it?
Wamud was a great leader in this, and was his blessing and his support for the idea of black and white working together, and each using the special knowledge that they had, from their, science or Indigenous knowledge perspectives. It was his openness to working in collaboration with non-Aboriginal people that gave the project the kind of social capital that it needed to work.
Good morning and welcome to my country.
He was a pioneer in that regard, straddling these two very different worlds, and I suppose being able to share his wealth of knowledge to other people, from researchers and anthropologists and archaeologists and botanists, linguists, curators, rangers. It's a mark of his immense knowledge of country.
He was a great expert on taxonomy of plants and animals and all of that.
Little red one.
Yeah, that's Anyugu.
Anyugu, okay.
Yeah. Strategy.
Yeah, yellow one.
Yeah. What do you call him?
I call him wattle tree.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
There were some things from non-Indigenous technology in the world that he absolutely loved, and perhaps the greatest of those was helicopters. He knew what it was like to walk the country. He found it such a joy to sort of soar above it at 300 or 400 feet and just, cover things that had taken days and days just to cover them in a couple of hours.
I think it's remarkable when you look at the social history of Arnhem Land. He was a man that sort of inspired others to return back to country and care for their country, and maintain those cultural obligations such as, fire stick farming to make sure that, that was there for future generations.
This is one of the most important conservation declarations that we've seen, and it's one of the most important commitments by Aboriginal communities to continue to manage their country in consistency with their culture, but to build modern skills using modern technology.
He was a great man, and he was my great dad.
He was a very cheeky fella, very funny. I loved sitting with him. He would make me laugh all the time. My cheeks would get sore. And just, he was very simple but caring and understanding, and he would always make me feel comfortable at where I am.
I was an adopted kid. I didn't really know grandparents and so on. For me, he filled a really important, role of an older and influential man in my life personally. And that was something really special.
The last painting that he done is a male, Tapwaluru, but just renew, so like reminds us this picture like for future. Maybe like myself when I have little ones, maybe kids in the future, so maybe they can see. My grandfather did this rock art.
I'm very proud of him and of me and the boys have did the commission wall. Very excited about it, seeing our work being in a very big museum. And I guess that's one of his strong issues, was that he wanted to share his knowledge and wisdom, and he'd always say, no matter what, like we may have different colour skin or whatever, but we still have the one blood, and it's very important that they know our culture.
I think they hearing and learning from both, from their grandfather and from white people, Balanda, we say in our language. And I think it's very important for everyone in the family. And we hope the white Balanda people to respect us, and we respect them. Our culture is both different, but we try to share it in a good way.
Oh, in Namok, I'm happy for that all the time that no yeah, working me. Same like you boy man gana happy I may manunga makari char the Bourbon will always go all day. I know. Ano ano Japan ko na paro. Patkar ke manu pa mo ke de man kai menya me. Paro ke de pun dia.
He told me, I want you to promise me to look after all my work. And I said, yes, Dad, I will look after our country and look after Mom.
So I have to follow just to renew the outline and person out here, brighter, just make sure in outline. Did it no? And here I did it. Kalang no, shoulder. So probably follow what my grandfather did.
We are the ones that we are there for him, even though he's not with us. We won't ever forget him. He's always in our heart.